right, everybody, welcome to Red Zone DFS. This is week 16.
Week 16.
16. We just got myself and Vinny on the horn tonight. Our third wheel, Joey, is still down enjoying his honeymoon in Cartagena, Colombia. Apparently, the Wi-Fi is not so good in Cartagena.
Yeah.
He was able to join us for last week from Colombia. He's in a really nice hotel. Guess he's staying in a grass hut this week. So no Joe, but we'll soldier on this Christmas COVID slate that we have here, Vinny.
Yeah, third leg of the tripod. I'm not sure if you watched last week, but the lights were going in and out, and he made it work. But since we got a picture a few hours ago from the most remote beach I've ever seen, I don't think he's making it tonight. So
yeah, he's not going to make it.
So hopefully we can lock a few lineups in for him, and we'll root for the best for that guy. But yeah, I feel good about this week, ready to rock and roll. Well, yeah, we'll see depending who plays, but yeah, I feel good if these guys are in.
Obviously, a lot of these plays, just to give everyone a disclaimer, the guys on the COVID list right now that were put on the COVID list early enough that are vaccinated, that have been reported as being asymptomatic, I'm going to assume that those guys are going to play. And then, obviously, if you pivot off of them, great. There's going to be a lot of potential value. Again, kind of like last week, I know the 26th is the day after Christmas. You're just going to have to be kind of on it to see who's going to be in, who's going to be out. But, kind of take everything with what we're saying tonight with a grain of salt. And the guys who, we're not going to spend too much time on it. But like I said, Vinny, I'm just going to assume that some of these guys, if they're vaccinated, we've seen it plenty of times. You get 2 negative tests and you're in. So,
yeah. And I think the way to do it, honestly, is you just have to roll with, like you said, the information we have today. You kind of assume for the best, but prepare for the worst, right? Like these guys that are on the list. Construct your lineup in a way where you can pivot, especially late game guys, or if you're going to play a guy that's currently on the list, let's say Tyreek, have a clear pivot from that. You don't want to be Sunday morning scrambling right after Christmas and Tyreek's out, and all of a sudden, you have to drop down to Pringle and you have $5,000 to spend, right? So just kind of have your clear pivots, have your clear backup plan ready to rock and roll for, a plan, basically. So that's how I'm going to roll at it, but let's do our best.
All right, well, let's jump into our favorite stacks of the week. We'll start, obviously, with our quarterbacks and our stacks. Vinny, I'll let you lead off. Who do you like up top for your favorite stacks?
All right, I'm going to go back to the bum who got shut out this last week, and that's Mr. Tommy B. Lightning strikes every once in a while, and I feel like it's Haley's comment when he gets shut out, right? What was the last time he got shut out? Like, no defensive player was even, like, they were still in diapers or something like that on the team. So just doesn't happen. And if we know anything in his career, anytime he faces, adversity or a bad week, Brady comes back out storming. I really like that playoff. Lenny is going to be sidelined just because that just tightens the player pool a little bit more. Obviously, Godwin being out is not great. Evans probably being out is not great, but I think that leaves a very clear path for, obviously, Gronk. I'm going to be playing Antonio. I think he hasn't played, obviously, in 10 weeks. So we don't know what we're going to get out of him, but he's a gamer. We know he's going to be ready to play. Arians has been very clear. He's got one screw up and he's gone. This just feels like, when the world's like against Antonio and Tom, like he's going to come out and score 3 touchdowns. There's something like that. So I'm going to go right back to the well there.
Yeah, definitely like that one. I am going to go back to Josh Allen against New England. Look, that game a few weeks ago is precisely why I'm going to go back to Josh Allen versus New England. That game is like a 1 in a million game. We're not going to see that again. I mean, Mac Jones attempted 3 passes and they won the game. I mean, what the hell? I mean, look, the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
It was just a weird game. And like, look, the Patriots pulled it off. I think if the Bills had to do it over again, they would have kind of opened up the offense and started throwing the ball a bit more, even though it was in the windier conditions.
Mm-hmm.
But I like where the Bills offense is at right now. It's clicking. I think that it's explosive, and I think this is one of those games where you can get really different because of that last week, and it's not going to be a popular game. It's not there's not a lot of games with high over-unders this week.
No, there's
right?
not.
So like most of the games are in like people are going, well, it's a low total. And it's like, all right, well, it's 44. And most of the other games are 45, 45, 49, 44, 44 and a half. Like I mean, it's right there in the mid pack with kind of all the games this week, right?
Yeah.
So I like that option quite a bit. If we're going kind of up in the upper tier there. Obviously, I think that Herbert against Houston is. I mean, I think that's probably going to be the chalk this week. If I had to guess, since Herbert's priced down a little bit.
Yep.
Eckler, again, the first guy that we're probably going to mention on the COVID-19 list. He was officially put on the list yesterday, I believe. He is vaccinated. He can play with a couple of back-to-back negative tests, but we'll see what happens here. But even if he doesn't, there's some nice secondary options with Justin Jackson and a few of the other guys on the Chargers. So
yeah.
Anybody else up top that you like really like?
Not really in the sevens. I mean, I don't love Kansas City. I know Pittsburgh's defense has been kind of a sieve, and they're just inconsistent. I know they played pretty well last week. They got Joe Hayden back. Whenever TJ Watt's on the field, they're a different defense.
Yeah.
And there's a chance he's missing Tyreek and Kelsey. So I don't love that. I think that's where I'm going is Brady and Herbert above 7K. So if we're dropping down, I will be going to Stafford. I mean, obviously Cooper Kupp is just he's on pace to shatter a lot of regular season records. It's obviously with the 17th game, he's going to have a real shot to do it. But even if this was 16 games, I mean, he's on a historic pace right now and just completely unstoppable. Minnesota, I think, has one of the worst, if not one of the worst passing defense in the league.
Yep.
So I love it. I think you got, like you said, some very clear secondary options if you want to even double stack that with either Van or Odell. We'll see if Higbee's back, but I know Stafford had a little bit of a down game. On Monday night, or was it Tuesday night? Tuesday. But I mean, he's been pretty consistent. 3 touchdowns. He's riding right around 300 yards every game. Like, he's just been really consistent in that offense. And I don't think Minnesota is going to put up too much of a fight defensively. So I like both sides of that game. Obviously clear bringbacks on the other side. So Stafford's probably next up for me in my player pool.
Yeah, I like Stafford. Somebody I like a little bit more is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I got him next.
I think that Jalen Hurts is a lot better quarterback than a lot of people give him credit for. I watched the game and he just misses some wide open throws, and it's a little bit confusing. But like the ones that he's really on, and then he has that rushing upside, right? Where we saw it again on Tuesday night. This is a little bit of a quick turnaround since they played on Tuesday. I think they're going to keep the game plan fairly straightforward. The Giants are pretty damn terrible. I like taking a stab in GPPs with stacking Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert together. If you're just going to stack one person right now, I think it's just got to be Goddard.
Yeah.
There's really no rhyme or reason. Teams are obviously trying to focus to take Smith away. I think that Philadelphia can do a little bit better job of trying to design some more creative plays rather than just go routes to get Smith the ball. Because he's fast, but I think that, you go back, I watched I kind of wanted to see what was going on. I'm not working this week. I'm off for the holiday. I wanted to see how he was best utilized at Alabama. And it's tough to draw a comparison between the NFL and college, right? But they ran him on a lot of deep over the middle routes,
A lot
right?
of crossing routes.
In that 15 to 35 yard range down the field. And he did so much of his damage after the catch in college. Now, again, it's a different animal. Guys are faster in the NFL. But I think that those are some of the routes that Jalen kind of likes to throw. He doesn't have great arm strength, which is why Goddard has really emerged as kind of the guy that we want to play. And I don't think that he's going to be that highly owned for whatever reason. I could be wrong there. We'll have to take a look. But I think out of everybody this week, I think that he has the highest floor and the closest we can get to that 35 to 40 point upside. And at only $6,400, his stacking options are cheap. I just love it. So that's where I'm going to be going there.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, we talk about it, right? We want quarterbacks ideally that have some of that rushing upside.
Yep.
That's him. The Devontae Smith thing is weird. I think they'll eventually find a way to use him. But I think this is also a really interesting spot, a guy that I've been off all year, and Philly has just completely changed their offense. Is I like what we always talk about, which is the quarterback, running back, tight end stack. I think that's really unique here with Miles Sanders. I could see him getting some mega chalk this week. He's been really good the last 2 games, but I think if you pair him with Hurts and Goddard, not a lot of people are going to go that route versus a really bad Giants team. So Philly's still very much in the playoff hunt. Must win for them. They're chasing Dallas and that wild card spot as well. But I think this is a really good spot for Philly.
Yep. Love it.
So
going down low, you got anybody, let's say, 61 and below?
Yeah, I'm keeping it tight this week, dude. 5 quarterbacks. I know. I think it's the Joey Curse being gone. So the only guy that I'm going to play below 6K this week is Burrow. He screwed a lot of people last week. Maybe not a lot. He wasn't super high owned, but I knew Denver was a tough matchup. I just didn't really love that spot there. I know you were on him a little bit, but he's got big upside. Mixon and the running game has not been great for Cincy recently. And I think Baltimore's a team, we talked about it last week, that you could exploit big time in the secondary. They're missing a ton of guys. They've been getting beat even when they had their starters in. So it's definitely there for them. Like we talk about, this is a must-win game. They're at home. I like the spot for Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play Burrow. I'll play one Burrow lineup every week just simply because of the fact he has the ability to go off. Didn't work last week. I wasn't super heavy in on Burrow last week. I was more of the cheaper guys, but I just don't get the price.
Yeah.
I get that he had a lower scoring game last week, but again, we're going back to Baltimore, who just gave up, 35 whatever points to Aaron. I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but Burrow has, equal weapons to Aaron Rodgers, and he has, equal throwing skills, on certain levels than Aaron Rodgers does. The Bengals don't have a very good offensive line.
Yeah.
But, against this team, I don't think that, Baltimore's defense just isn't that good.
I mean, they've given up the second most passing yards in the league.
Exactly.
It's just they are who they are at this point. That's who they are. They're just not good defensively, especially in the secondary. And I do think Baltimore's front 7 is fine. So I don't love the spot for Mixon. He hasn't been producing. For me, there's one path here for Cincy. And I mean, Hundley looked good, man. So hopefully if he plays, he can push the envelope and keep this game flow going. Yeah. And obviously, he's got 2 very clear options in the passing game. And then, your amazing call last week of Tyler Boyd. He's definitely playable, I think, again this week. So
yeah, that helped me. I played him in a couple just one-offs.
That was a sweet one.
Just kind of the quiet guy. I've got interest. I'm really bummed that Brandon Cooks is on the COVID-19 list, and I hope that he can get healthy. If he can, I'm gonna play the new neck again. Hey, you say what you want, but the Davis Mills Brandon Cooks stack paid off big time last week.
It's just so cheap.
It's so cheap, and Brandon Cooks, by himself. I played him in other lineups without, the new neck. and he did fine. But the guy that I have a lot of interest in this week is Justin Fields, and I hope he's nice and healthy, and I hope he can play. But they're playing the Seahawks. The Seahawks are absolutely terrible.
Yeah, they're dead.
They're playing in Seattle, which if we go back and look at, the total collection of everything over the last year and a half, they play so much better on the road than they do at home. And I don't know why.
So weird.
It's so weird. Everyone's going to see, oh man, they played the Rams tough. Yeah, we can't play Justin Fields in Seattle. Bullshit. $5,200 with a guy that has, nice, 30-point upside on his high ceiling. I think he's got a pretty safe floor. I think his floor is somewhere between 17 to 20 points this week.
Yeah.
And he's got really cheap stacking options, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could stack Mooney with him at 5,400. I don't think A-Rob again is going to play, but that's fine. If you want to stack try and figure out one of the tight ends. I personally would like just stacking David Montgomery and doing that running back stack.
Well, one guy that I've been playing for him is Damir Bird, who's 3,300, and he's seen 5, 6, 7 targets a game. 2 weeks in a row, double digits at 3,300.
I think if Jeremy Grant, who they've been actively trying to get the ball, he's hurt. If he doesn't play, then I think Bird is a pretty nice option to go to with them, because like you said, at 3,300,
so cheap.
Holy shit. You could stack Fields, Montgomery, and then Bird, and you could basically get anybody else you wanted to on the lineup, and you've got a really solid stack. It looks like Lockett, even though he's on the COVID-19 list, he will be able to play.
Yeah.
He's already had, there's a report that came out about this afternoon, said Pete Carroll relayed Wednesday that Lockett is closing in on being activated from the reserve COVID-19 list. So that's good because he is absolutely the preferred option. DK just looks like he doesn't give a fuck and doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, this game is tough to predict. I see it. I totally do, because I had Fields as someone I was looking deeper into for sure. Dude, I just both coaches are probably getting fired. They're just two disasters right now. So that could mean very big game, right? That could mean huge upside when you get two train wrecks, right? But at the same time, this could very much be a 10-9 game, in the fourth quarter.
And
look, both teams just don't want to be there. I don't know.
But, if you just wanted to play Justin Fields and Mooney,
mm-hmm.
That's a pretty safe, pretty cheap stack where you can get other guys. And even if they get, Mooney gets 12 and Fields gets, 22.
Yeah, they don't have to carry you.
Yeah, it's not going to kill you. And Fields has the rushing upside where he's going to get you, 20 to 30 yards a game.
Yep.
Maybe he needs to start sliding a little bit more, closer to the ground instead of sitting up while he's sliding.
Yeah, he almost got his head taken off.
I don't know what the fuck you're doing,
I just wish overall he would just stop listening to Matt Nagy and go full Willie Beeman and just take that offense over and just run and gun. But, I think he's a good kid and not going to do that. So I'm not going below that, man. I really wanted to look into some of these really ugly games, but I think the slate is ugly enough and going to provide so much turmoil in terms of guys that are not active and, people just getting weird because they're going to be reaching, I don't think you have to get too crazy this week.
No, I had some interest in Jared Goff, but now that he's out on the COVID list, if he's able to come back, he's a cheap quarterback where I have some interest in because they just seem to always have to throw the ball.
Yeah. Any Drew Lock love?
No, Drew Lock's fucking terrible. If I'm gonna play Drew Lock, I might as well just I'll just put my money in an envelope and mail it to somebody random, right? It's probably going to do that person better than me playing Drew Lock in lineup. He's fucking terrible.
Yeah, just drop it off at the Red Cross in front of Lucky's and, just move on.
Dude, he's so indecisive. He can't even get an RPO right. It's
yeah,
he's bad. So anybody who thinks that Drew Lock is the answer for the future, I really don't know what you're smoking because I think
Denver will be
terrible.
Denver will be drafting a quarterback in April, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but that's all I got in my quarterback pool and stack pool, honestly.
Yeah, let's hop down to running backs, and we can start up top. We've got Dalvin Cook priced at 8,300. What do you think, Vin?
Well, I'm going to give you just a snip of one bold take, but I'm not playing a running back over 7K this week. I have no interest in. I don't think Eckler is going to play. Personally, being thrown on the COVID list Tuesday, Wednesday, that just is a very tight window. Who knows? If he plays, yeah, I have interest in Eckler, but I'm not playing Dalvin. I think the Rams defense is pretty solid, especially in the front seven. I want no piece of the Aaron Donald, stuffing gaps and just killing people. And I can't trust Najee, man. I like Najee. They need to draft like 5 offensive linemen in April. That offensive line
pretty bad.
Dude, every time I turn on the game, he's getting hit in the backfield. He's getting hit like as soon as he gets to the line of scrimmage. Kid's got no shot. I need a little bit of running upside to play him. I know he's a threat in the passing game, but that also relies on Roethlisberger doing the right thing. So I can't do it, man. Are you playing anybody up top or no? Because I'm not.
I am going to play some Najee this week.
Okay.
Just because I don't think the Chiefs defense is very good.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of guys out on defense who I don't think are going to come back for this game. Their pass rush has been severely, severely hampered.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy that just because he has that volume upside, I'll take a stab in a couple of lineups, but I don't love it. And it's not where I'm going to be focusing the bulk of my strategy for this week.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, my highest price guy that I'm going to be playing, and I really thought we were off to a rocking start last week when he got a touchdown called back a minute into the game, was Cordell Patterson. Atlanta is obviously not a very good team, but he gets to play Detroit this week. Yep. So at 6,700, I wish they would continue to stop rotating in Mike Davis, who's not good at all. But I have some interest in Cordell again this week. If he pops that touchdown in, it's a different game altogether. And, I think he pops 15, 18 points potential. But after that, man, I mean, they have they ran like 6 plays inside the 2-yard line and didn't score against the Niners. Atlanta sucks, but so does Detroit. So I'll have some Cordell up top for me.
Yeah, so on the other side of that game, I'm really hoping that he's going to play. He got in a limited practice Tuesday, limited again on Wednesday. It's DeAndre Swift.
Swifty.
People are going to forget about his volume, but when he was healthy, he didn't come off the field. Now, maybe since he's coming back from a shoulder injury, but the Lions aren't playing for anything. So if this guy's going to come back and play, I'm sure that there's going to be a conversation and he's just like, hey, just give me all the volume that you can. If I get hurt, whatever, then I re-injure my shoulder and then, there's only 3 weeks left here. So,
my only fear with that is to your point, they're not playing for anything. They just signed that guy who looked pretty good, actually, Craig Reynolds. Jamal Williams is still in the mix. I don't know, man. They could all get 10 carries and, I know Dan Campbell's trying to win every game and rip kneecaps off, but I just can't trust that, man.
I am actually going to trust that Dan Campbell, that when Swift is healthy, he just gets all the volume. And
that's fair.
He's shown that earlier this year that he's going to play it because they had these other guys on the team. They had this Jamar Jefferson guy. They signed the Craig Reynolds dude. They want to win games. Mm-hmm. They're absolutely not in the tanking category, right? They're actively trying to win. And if Goff is not going to play, they're just going to lean on Swift. So I like that. I'm going to be playing a little bit of Saquon because Philly's defense is just terrible. And it's a nice run back for me on the other side of that. But my guy that I like a lot here is Javonte. Just getting more and more volume, just a more and more reliable running back, and he gets to play the Raiders. And the Raiders have a good pass rush, but sign me up for Javonte this week.
I wish somebody would just get in Fangio's ear and tell him to sit Melvin down, or whatever. He could be the change of pace guy, but Javonte needs to be getting 70-80% of the touches.
He's just so much more dynamic. And look, and maybe they're like, look, we're out of it this year. We don't want to burn this kid out, and maybe Melvin is going to be gone pretty soon. I totally get that, right? But he's just so explosive that he's a guy that you can play in a timeshare because he can pop, one of those runs for 60, 70 yards to the house. And then, just the time split after that is fine. So.
The crazy thing is Denver's not out of it. Like,
no,
they're not. Which is, again, you're starting Drew Lock, right? My game plan would be come in and just pound absolute Javonte at the Raiders' ass this week. But we'll see what happens. I love him too. Below that, I'll be going back to James Robinson. Again, Jaguars are terrible, but at least this new coach is willing to admit the fact that, he is the best player on that offense right now, and we'll just give him the ball. In another good matchup versus the Jets, so I like him at 5,900. Below that, we talked about it. Miles Sanders, he's got the Q tag, which I kind of like. We talk about it. Hopefully some people get nervous about that. But he's seeing 24 and 18 carries, 20 DK points, and he's not even scoring touchdowns, right? Dude, he pops one or two in there.
There's going to be a lot of shitter guy lineups this week too, with people just hanging out, oh shit, let me throw a few lineups in, right, with the family. And a Q tag, people are going to see that, he didn't practice Wednesday. So, we got to keep an eye on that. But I definitely like that. I really, we talked about it a little bit in the stack earlier, but I really like David Montgomery at 5,700.
Yeah, he's a good call this week too.
I don't know. I don't get the price. He's shown up in the optimal lineup about 15% of the time. That's pretty crazy. His point per dollar is up there with, a lot of the other guys this week, but I do fives.
He's getting the volume. I do. What's hilarious is Matt Nagy very clearly is going to be gone here soon. He's still coaching he's got 2-game lead on the wild card. Let's just play somewhat conservative. Let's get the bell cow guy our ball. He's not coaching any differently. You would think all right, let's take some chances. Let's get a little weird. Maybe I can salvage my job. Dude, he's just not good as a coach, but whatever. David Montgomery's getting touches, so
his last week versus Green Bay was as low at 10, but he's been 14, 17, 21, 10, 18. That kind of rushing attempt volume. And then last week, he had 5 catches. He's had 5, 6, 8, 3. Holy smokes, he's a guy that's not known for his receiving prowess, right? But he's getting the volume in the receiving game now just because he's out there all the time. He's dominating the snaps from Khalil Herbert. It's about an 80-20 snap share right now. So that's good with me.
I dig it.
You talked about James Robinson. The other side of that game, I'll go back and I'll play Michael Carter again.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm going right back to the well.
5,200. Jacksonville's terrible. Everybody is gonna play Ronald Jones this week. Yeah, and I'm talking everybody. He could be, the 30 to 50% chalk running back this week. And
he, for me, is going to be a full fade. If he's over, I'll say 15%, which he's going to be. So I will be full fading Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I'll gladly pay 5,300 for Devontae Freeman, 5,200 for Michael Carter, and just move on. If Ronald Jones is going to be the one to beat me, that's fine, right? But Matt Rule is coaching for his job essentially in Carolina. I think he's on very, very thin ice. And, you saw the pedigree of how to try and beat Brady's. You stop the run and then you get pressure with them. They have the ability to do that because of the defense that they're starting to assemble there. Their offense is not very good, but their defense is not that bad.
No, they're not. And their front seven's good. Like
Yes.
their DBs are good. Like they're not a terrible they're not good, I should say. They're solid. Like if anyone expects Ronald Jones, I mean, if he does it, I'll tip my cap. But I think people are expecting he's just going to become Leonard Fournette immediately, and that's just I don't think the case at all.
Yeah, I think that they will change their offense a little bit, and they'll throw the ball to some of these other guys in some short yardage stuff.
Yeah.
I think you see a lot of usage. We'll talk about it when we get to wide receivers, but from guys like Scotty Miller this week over the middle and Antonio, right?
Yeah.
Is there anybody else down here that you like?
If Swift doesn't play, I'll play a little bit of that Craig Reynolds. He popped. He got some of the volume. Dude, he's 4,500, and he's playing Atlanta. Like, I mean, it made Jeff Wilson look like Adrian Peterson last week. So Atlanta's just – they're the best, worst team I've ever seen. If that makes
they're
sense.
pretty bad.
You know what I mean? Like, they're so bad, but, like, their record's not. It's very weird. But at 4,500, I'm just going to be living below that, like, Javonte and below range. Like, I'm just going to be paying down at running. There's too much value and too many guys, I think, in my opinion, that have the same upside as like a Najee this week. So that does it for me at running back.
The only guy that you haven't mentioned is I'm going to be taking a few stabs at is Darrell Williams at 4,600. I think especially if Tyreek is out, I think you're going to see him used quite a bit in the passing game.
That's an interesting call.
Passing game back. So I think that you'll see some of those, some of the formations. Like, I think a lot of people will go to like Mecole Hardman if Tyreek is out. But I think that Andy Reid would much rather do some different things to get Darrell Williams the ball. I think they trust him a little bit more. That's just kind of I don't have a whole lot to back that up other than it's about a 50-50 time split right now with CEH. And if Pittsburgh can keep it close, I think that he gets the passing down. So he's a guy I'll be interested to take a little stab at this week.
Yeah, and that's an interesting call. If Kelsey and Tyreek do miss, I won't hesitate to play some CEH as well. They got to throw the ball to somebody, right? Like, so it's definitely an interesting like pivot. But
yeah.
I'm with you. All right. One-off receivers.
One-off receivers. I mean, I think we both talked about, liking Justin Jefferson as the run back, as the one-off.
Yes.
I don't care about Ramsey. I don't care about any of that shit. Just keep playing insane, Justin Jefferson. He's so good.
Watching him play, like, I know there's receivers that do it, but, like, at the line of scrimmage – he smokes every corner off the line in his first like 2 to 3 steps. It's just ridiculous. Like, I haven't seen a receiver like that in a long time. Like, not Tyreek, right? Like, he's like 5'6". Like, dude, the guy's 6'1", and he's just his footwork is just ridiculous off the line. Yeah. So I think he's pretty unstoppable as long as Kirk doesn't piss himself out in the field, which is tough. But
I mean, it's possible. It's possible, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. My one-off that I'll always play up top is Deontay. He just gets the volume. He's a nice one-off guy for me. Is there anybody above $7,000 that you like as a one-off?
Not really, man. I mean, I'm going to be sticking to kind of my core, which is involved in all my stacks, which is Kupp, Jefferson, Keenan, and Chase. And then, we can touch on below, but
let's go to this like 6,000 to 6,900 range. Anybody has a one-off in there that you really like?
I mean, dude, I'm gonna stick with T. Higgins and Mike Williams. Like, I'm gonna be double stacking the teams that I really like this week quite a bit. So I'm gonna be going a lot of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I'm gonna be going a lot of Chase and Higgins. I mean, that's really where I'm gonna sit above 6K. I have some one-offs obviously down below that, but that's where I'm gonna roll.
Two of my favorite one-offs are actually in this area, and it's going to be Renfrow and Lockett. We talked about the reason for Lockett a little bit more earlier, but Renfrow is a guy that just continues to get the volume. He's really the only guy that Derek Carr seems to trust. I
just really respect Denver's defense. Like, I think they are good. I think Fangio's a good defensive mind, and I think they're just going to say, dude, go beat us with someone else. Like, I know Renfrow out of the slot is really tough. Waller coming back would be a big help to Renfrow this week, I think.
Yes, he would really, really benefit from that. I think that I don't know. I think that, he was the hot, sexy play after that big KC game where he just kind of went off.
Yeah.
And then he only scored 6 points last week in a weird week, right, where they had to play on Tuesday and like all this other shit. This is a division game. I think they're going to kind of go back to their horses a little bit. He's a guy that, in GPPs, I'm more than happy to take a stab at.
Okay. Yeah,
so
very
going down, let's go 59 to 5,000. Who's your one-off guys in that range?
One guy that is starting to just jump, and every week he just keeps kicking ass. And watching the Niner game last week, like he really jumped off. But I really like Russell Gage, man.
Yeah,
I think he's a really, really good receiver. 5,900 against Detroit. I mean, he's seen upwards of 12 targets a game. Like, it's just hard to – he's one of the only shows in town there, right? So Matt Ryan sucks, but he's at least shown that he's going to try to get the ball to Russ. So 5,900, I will have some Russ Gage. What about you below that? We'll go back and forth here.
I mean, I think Mooney, even if you're not going to play Fields, I think he's a pretty good volume steal at 5,400. Other than that, I mean, this range is kind of tough. I do like DJ Moore now that he's priced all the way down. He didn't practice, but Carolina is playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a massive, massive pass funnel.
Yeah,
at 5,700. I mean, he's kind of let people down the last few weeks, and Cam just is absolutely terrible. But I'm hoping that will be, a detractor for some people to not go there.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the 7,500 receiver if he had a real quarterback. So
yeah, he's one of the guys that, the reports came out today. Matt Rule said that, he didn't practice. He's likely going to be a game time decision because of his hamstring. It's going to be a risk because, like the people who played Julio last week, right, with a hamstring, a quarter and a half in, he could be out. Yep. So that's one to kind of keep an eye on. And then I think Amon-Ra St. Brown,
definitely.
If Goff plays, if Goff doesn't play, I cannot play any of the Detroit wide receivers. But St. Brown, I played him last week. He was another one of my calls. Great game. Really helped us out in a cheap wide receiver. But yeah, like if Goff isn't playing, I just can't.
Yep. I'm with you there. Below that, we talked about Antonio. He's priced up, but he's still way too cheap for the role he's going to have. I'm not going to be all over Josh Allen, but Gabe Davis is the dude. You've been on him for a few years now.
Yep.
He's just obviously a really good receiver. Emmanuel Sanders is just not, he's getting old, right? So he's out. The world's celebrating because Cole Beasley, Mr. Anti-Vax, is out. I think Gabe Davis, I think Belichick is going to do what Belichick does, right? And he's going to throw everything he has to stop Diggs. I think Davis is a very clear, great play this weekend.
Yep.
So
below that, as a one-off, I'll definitely be having some Tyler Johnson. They were actively looking to throw him the ball. I think he's pretty good. And I think he's a guy that, if you're investing in like a long-term sense, right, for like dynasty or something like that, I think he's a sneaky pickup, right? Because like next year, obviously Godwin's probably now going to be gone. He was already going to get quite a bit of money. I think Evans will be back. I think Antonio Brown will be gone. I don't know if Gronk plays another year. I think that Tyler Johnson could really emerge as a pretty big stud wide receiver with Brady throwing him the ball for the next few years, right?
Yeah, I love the fact that he's going to get the full week of practice and the full reps with Brady. Tom's obviously going to like cram session and get him up to speed in the slot there. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good play this weekend too.
Other than that, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to play Hardman at 3,500, right?
If his ownership starts to creep up there, I have no problem taking shots on the other guys there, which is
like
Pringle or even a DeMarcus Robinson. I don't know if I can trust Josh Gordon, but I'll take shots with those other guys because, again, Mahomes has to get the ball somewhere. Pitt has a good, well, I shouldn't say a good rush defense. When everyone's healthy, they're okay. But Mahomes got to throw the ball somewhere. So
Yeah.
I'll take it, again, if I can get Pringle or Demarcus Robinson at single digits and Hardman's going to be 25% owned, like I'll roll the dice with those other guys all day.
For sure.
And then the only other guy below that I'm going to consider, I talked about him a little bit, is Damir Bird at 3,300.
Oh, yeah. He's probably the only guy that, real cheap that I can go down to. I mean, Pringle at 3,300 would be interesting, like we said. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I mean, I can't,
Yeah.
If Cooks doesn't play, I might play some Philip Dorsett at the dead min. Just where I like if there's going to be a lineup where I need to like shove him in somewhere, that's a guy that I have some interest in, but I mean not like a terrible amount. Like
dead men.
Be real.
All right,
it's the dead men. So
I'm declaring this ultimate. It's going to be weird, but Kelsey and Kittle are off the main slate, and this is going to be ultimate tight end week.
Oh,
I think this is the week, dude.
My hot take of the week is a tight end. So
all right, let's do it. I mean, Andrews up top is a 7K. Like he's been awesome. I like him. I like Gronk. I'll stop at those two and let you kind of go because I have three other guys that I really like this week.
So I think that this is the I called the Kittle spike week. Mm-hmm. I think this is the Kyle Pitts spike week.
Yeah, that's what I got here.
5,800. I don't think he's going to be that highly owned. I think he's priced up enough where people would rather go play Dallas Goedert at 51. Hunter Henry, who's smashed the last time out. He's the only guy who basically scored touchdowns in that game. I think Kyle Pitts against a team like Detroit is just absolutely going to tear them up. He had a bad game versus the Niners, but that's to be expected. The Niners have Fred Warner. When Fred Warner's in the game, you don't want to play your tight ends because he just takes away the middle of the field.
Yeah,
they have Ufunga playing that spy X, that like roving like linebacker, like strong safety position that Ramsey plays a lot now. I think he's just going to absolutely tear it up this week. I think Gronk, obviously, and Mark Andrews are fine, right? But if I can go down to 5,800, like Kyle Pitts is a guy that I probably am going to have like 75% of this week and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong play. I mean, I love Dallas Goedert this week. He's very clearly Jalen Hurts' favorite target, rightfully so. He's a beast. But below that, two guys that I have some interest in, Noah Fant at 4,400. We talked about Drew Lock sucks.
Doesn't matter.
The Raiders suck, but Drew Lock will go to Fant. Like that's one guy that he can complete passes to. So I do like that at 4,400.
The tried and true DFS rule that really hasn't failed probably for like the last 15 years is you just play tight ends versus the Raiders and you win quite a bit of money.
Yeah, the only net negative for us is Jonathan Abrams out for the year, which is actually probably a plus for the Raiders secondary, which I have no idea who's even replacing him, but definitely can't be worse. So a little bit nervous there, but I do like Fant. And then Cole Kmet at 3,300 for me.
Yep.
Saw 9 targets this last week. Again, I think he's a very safe safety valve for Fields against a terrible Seahawks secondary. So, that's as low as I'm going.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've got the Irish assassin James O'Shaughnessy at 3,200. What I played him at 3,200 last week. 4 catches, 60 yards. You got 10 points.
All right.
I mean, that's fine, right? He falls into the end zone. We're looking at 16 to 17 points now, and then now we're off to the races, right?
Now we're running.
He's probably the only person outside of James Robinson on Jacksonville that I give 2 shits to play this week. Other than that, I mean, look, again,
you're really dumpster diving.
If Kelsey misses, Noah Gray, you got to play Noah Gray at 2,500. I mean, it's like an automatic, 8 points from him is like almost 4x, right? So like, if Kelsey and Hill are out, he's a guy that I would much rather play Noah Gray than like a chalky Hardman at 3,500 or like a chalky Pringle at 3,300. I'll take him for 2,500. I don't think a lot of people are going to go there. He has legitimate upside to get like 12 to 15 points if he's able to find the end zone.
Yep.
So that's if you guys are panicked out there and you guys are looking for a tight end this week to replace Kelsey, and like maybe you're just waiver wire is just shit, Noah Gray is going to be the guy in season long if you just want to do a straight replacement. But he's definitely the outstanding value at tight end this week.
All right, let's hit it. Our specialty, defense. Starting from the bottom, where are you going?
I mean, it's going to be really hard not to play the Falcons. I mean, they're playing Detroit, and if Jared Goff is not going to play, then like, I mean, how do you not play the Falcons defense, right?
Yeah, Tim Boyle does not instill a lot of fear into me.
No, Tim Boyle does not. He's going to turn the ball over.
You mean Tim Boyle, who scored 1.08 DraftKings points last start?
Yeah, I mean, he's just absolutely on fire, right? Unfortunately, I mean, I think that you might be able to – I mean, this is like the ultimate GPP play. If you want to play Carolina against Brady and you think that Brady's kind of shot, or if you think the secret's out where you just pressure the shit out of him, I mean, at 2,300, you only need 3 to 5 points to make that a viable play for you. So, like, you play the Panthers at 2,300 and you play, Noah Gray at 2,500. And I mean, your lineup just opens up so much more.
Yep.
But do you have anybody above that? Where are you looking, Vinnie?
This is going to be disgusting, but this is like where I'm going. I have 4 defenses I really like, and it's the Falcons, the Lions, the Jags, and the Jets. I'm just playing those 4 teams. Turn the ball over.
You're just playing defense roulette, basically.
I'm just going to split my line. They're all either 2,600 or 2,700. They're all playing each other. Lawrence, Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Matt Ryan are like pick 6 haven.
Exactly. You're playing a quadrant of the board. You're just playing those 4, and then
they're playing each other, and they're all terrible. None of those offenses scare me. I'm just going to roll the dice, and I hope 1, if not 2 of those just absolutely, pick 6 and maybe a freaking punt return or something. But they're cheap.
Not the worst strategy ever.
All 4 quarterbacks are terrible. Like, there's a chance all 4 go for pick 6s. I mean, that's true. There. So up top, I mean, I have a little interest in the Broncos right above that at 2,800. It's too cheap versus the Raiders, who they're not explosive. They they don't really turn the ball over either, which that's what we're kind of looking for. But whatever, the Raiders don't scare me.
They don't. On the other hand, if Drew Lock plays, like, I might consider playing the Raiders defense.
It's not a bad call. I mean, Drew Lock sucks. Well, he is going to play. I mean, Teddy's like,
I mean, Teddy might be done for his career.
Poor guy has been like carted off like 4 times.
If his knee dislocation, broken femur didn't take him out, like, the Raiders at 2,900. It's kind of a weird play. But look, they're playing Drew Lock. Anytime you can get a defense going up against a shitty quarterback like Drew Lock, under $3,000, that's fine. I have some interest in the Bengals too, playing Baltimore, especially if Lamar's not going to go. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be the chalk this week.
Really?
Yeah, just because they're just so cheap, and if Lamar's not going to play, everyone saw how bad Tyler Huntley was and like how just careless he is with the ball.
Yeah, but I mean, they still scored like 30 points on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, against Green Bay's pretty shitty defense, right?
Yeah,
I think the Bengals have a lot better team than a lot of people are giving them credit for.
I think so.
They're able to generate pressure. I mean, Yeah, I think it's a fine play. I think it's got a good floor where like I don't think Baltimore's going to score a ton of points this week, like they did last week. So I think you could easily expect probably 7 to 9 points from them, and that might be a lot more than some of these other teams we're talking about playing.
Yeah, and the two other ones that I had on my list are the Steelers potentially could be sneaky against Kansas City if they're missing every weapon known to man. Mahomes, I mean, he's been forcing the ball all year, taking risks. Like, now you're going to give me an offense without their two best players. Like, okay. If I can find a way to get up, the Eagles are the clear-cut play for me. I mean, they're going to be playing either Neck or Jake Fromm. The Giants are in shambles. So that's really it for me.
I just don't think – like, I would just rather play some of those other teams. I don't think that they have the opportunity to score that many more. And I think if Jake Fromm plays, that's actually probably better for the Giants because Neck is just his neck is legitimately on the chopping block. I mean,
one of my favorite things to do is mid-game though, like just search the hashtag of the Giants and just look at New York like on fire about
burning
how
to the ground.
he is. Yeah, it's
just
awesome.
fucking burning down.
Yeah, it makes me really happy. All right, this is our time. No Ayuk on the slate, so you got to go somewhere else. Who's your bold prediction of the week? Could be a team, could be a play, score, whatever.
We alluded to it during the tight ends, and it's going to be Kyle Pitts. He's going to go for 25 plus DraftKings points this week. I think he's got a good shot to get into the 30s as well. So he's going to be my hot take call of the week.
All right. Let's see here. I am going to go to a player that's not very surprising, but I'll go extra bold here, and I think we see a 405 tutty game out of Tom. I think he just absolutely puts Carolina into the grave this week.
Wow.
He's missing his weapons. I don't think it's going to matter. Dude, he took so much shit. He was throwing iPads on the sideline. I think it's game over for Carolina. I would not want to be on that defense this week.
Like it. I'll take it.
Let's go. That's it.
All right, everybody. That'll be it for this week. Good luck. As always, follow us on Twitter at JJ McIntosh, at Vinnie Levine, or it's Vin L.
Nope, you had it. Vinnie Levine 29.
Changed it?
We're there. Good. Nope, haven't changed it in 5 years. We're all right.
Still at Vin L 29. Okay. Well, there we go. Shows how much I know. So, come follow along with us, guys. Hope everybody has a nice Christmas. We've got a good showdown slate coming tomorrow night with the Niners. I'll have a little article about that first thing in the morning tomorrow, so you guys can check that out. Other than that, good luck this week, and hopefully everyone hits in the green.
Let's do it. Later.